Good morning, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the morning announcements. I'm sure most of us have heard that term or that phrase since elementary. And as the 4th of July festivities approaches, I'm sure we're not thinking about the pledge, we're probably thinking about the national anthem, or that barbecue grill waiting for us, or even the patriotic playlist that includes all our favorite American songs. And in high school, I, along with a friend, were given the honor to guide our peers into reciting the pledge, and that gave us a deeper understanding and a different perspective on what it meant to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Most students across the United States recite the pledge, but they probably wonder, what's the importance of reciting the pledge anyway? Yet, the importance behind this unique but really uniting American tradition is very important as it encourages us to be more united. I will begin with history and transition into the official process that it led to making the pledge, and I will end with the importance of this pledge. According to USHistory.org, a nonprofit organization called Independence Hall Association in Pennsylvania, Francis Bellamy was the one that drafted the first parts of this pledge on August 1892. And in this pledge, he said that it was for any nation that they could make their own and make it unique to them. According to the University of Rochester, New York, Bellamy introduced his final draft on September 8, 1892 at Youth's Companion, which was a celebration for the Columbus Day voyage. According to the American President's Project, a website that contains many artifacts and archives about proclamations that presidents have made, President Harrison proclaimed Proclamation 335, making October 21st the national holiday for the Columbus Day voyage. And in this day, there was a student that was selected to make a pledge on behalf of the United States. And this pledge read, "I give my heart in my hand for my country, one language, and one flag." Yet when Francis Bellamy heard this term, he felt that it wasn't accurate, and he said that it lacked a historical meaning. And because of that, he developed his own flag and his own pledge that read, "I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." And because of this, there was two different perspectives that Bellamy had in mind. One, as mentioned, was the Columbus Day celebrations, and the other was towards American immigrants. And because of this, it led to more changes that came about later. According to the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History, the National Flag Conference, sponsored by the American Legion of Daughters of the American Revolution, changed the term "my flag" to the flag of the United States of America. And one of these changes was towards immigrants, so that then when they recited this pledge, they knew that it was towards the flag of the United States and not the flag of their nation. And later on June 22nd, 1942, Congress officially recognized and formally added the Pledge of Allegiance into the U.S. codes. A couple months later, on December 22nd, 1942, they changed the delivery and from putting their right hand over their heart instead of extending their hand over in front of them. And this was because many Americans began to see that during the Cold War and prior to that, out of Hitler and his power in Europe, they saw that similarity that there was from extending the right hand and the way Hitler would introduce and represent himself. So many people started calling this the Bellamy Salute. So this led to a different perspective and a shift in American history and into the Pledge of Allegiance. And during the Cold War, President Eisenhower decided to lobby and to add in the term "under God." And on June 14th, 1954, they did just that. Congress approved to add the term "under God" into the pledge. Many of you might wonder, what does the pledge have to do anything with the Cold War? And it's because during the Cold War, the communists were anti-religious. And because of that, the US wanted to add the term "under God" to make it their own and make it more unique. And kind of similar with immigrants, they wanted to make sure that Americans would know what America was about, as opposed to the communists. So this led to a different perspective, and another result that resulted out of this was that there was a major change from the approval, or rather, the approval of the president was needed in order for any change to be made. And this led to many changes that came along. And finally, once the pledge was made, it read as the way we know it now. Finally, some of the foundations that led to this, for example, or some of the words that are in the flag, for example, I pledge allegiance, or to the republic for which it stands, meaning that some of these terms they really represent some of the American ideals that we stand for and all the things that we are proud of to be as Americans. Similar to the national anthem and like the way that we sing the Pledge of Allegiance, it allows us to express our love and our respect that we have for our nation. In fact, talking about respect to our country, we are able to recognize and we are able to represent our nation through that. According to Title 4, Chapter 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Code, there is a specific way that this nation should be introduced, rather, this pledge should be made. And in some of those processes, for example, those that are in uniform, they have a specific way that they're to recite the pledge. To conclude, this historic transition, all the symbolism that it represents and all the historic meaning that it's part of, is important to us as Americans. Finally, as you have heard the historic beginnings of the origins and the pledge and how it became to become the Pledge of Allegiance, this shouldn't stop us from reciting the Pledge of Allegiance in society. Thank you for your time and thank you for being an American citizen that recites the Pledge of Allegiance.